Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Winter Wolf and King Z here with another movie review, kicking it horror movie style this time.
We are doing spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, pause us now, hit that save, hit the download, hit the thumbs up. It's all a way to
Please.
save this video, and then you can come back and hear our review with the spoilers in it.
Entry number 2 on our hype list for 2026.
Yep, it is.
Last week was the bride, because it's got an exclamation point. And this week was Undertone. As you guys know, if you followed us on Frostcast this last week, neither of us ended up seeing the bride because the general consensus was save your money.
Apparently, no one else did either.
Apparently, nobody saw that. It made about $4 on Bargain Tuesday, and that was it. So we were hoping that Undertone swung for the fences. Swung, right? Now I sound like an idiot.
I heard it both ways.
Either which way. It took a big swing in horror circles. Won some awards at a festival, if I'm not mistaken. Was this like a South by Southwest or whatever? Like big festival with horror movies.
Yeah, it's been through the movie festival circuit. Yeah,
got it. And did pretty good. Had some interesting marketing. They told you up front in the marketing that this was going to be the scariest movie you've ever heard, which is an interesting way to kind of get into like a horror movie vibe situation. The sound is everywhere. And here at the podcast, we like to say, don't be afraid of the dark. Be afraid of the silence.
That was awesome.
That was a solid line.
That was a good tagline.
Listen, they got a good little podcast going on. I would subscribe to that. I like the skeptic, non-skeptic Mulder Scully thing they had going on. I kind of like that.
So if you don't know what Undertone is about, it's about this. It follows the life of a girl, Ellie. I believe her name Evie. That's right, Evie. It follows the life of this girl, Evie, after events happen in her life. She's recording a podcast with probably one of her childhood friends. So they had history to tell. At early in the morning, and then they're listening to these tapes. Like they find the creepy. That's why it's called the Undertone podcast. Everything that's creepy, kind of like how we're Frostcast, everything nerdy.
Got it.
So what they start listening to these tapes, and these tapes start sounding more and more like her life that she's going through, and that's where it all comes together. So there is the quick synopsis of Undertone.
It's got a little bit more layered on top of that too, for good measure. How they get the audio is interesting. It's very modern. We say things like record and tape. Everything in the movie is sent. It's a digital thing. Like somebody emailed them to their channel or their Spotify email audio files that were creepy. There were little bits of things because that's kind of how they roll. They take calls. Like how folk radio calls used to go through like radio shows. Like they take calls live on their podcast. They do stuff like that. So it's a nifty little setup that they have. The movie plays with some really heavy themes. You got some grief, you got guilt, you've got pregnancy is mixed in there for good measure. It tied that right into like the main threat, if you will, of the movies. It undertook. Oh, you see that? It undertook a lot. Where I think I didn't enjoy it is because I didn't know it was essentially a one-man play. That there's literally one living character that we see, except for the main character's mother, who's essentially in a vegetative state on hospice. Yeah, just basically laying there in her bed dying. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either going in.
The actress, I don't know her name. I didn't look it up, and that's on me. I should have looked it up. Maybe you can do it while I'm rambling.
I got it right here.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Her name is Nita Kurt.
Okay.
K-I-R-I.
I'm not sure she had it in her to carry a feature-length film. I think something like this was a short film, like a 40-minute spot that tactically cut out some parts in the middle. Although it did run pretty trim. It ran like an hour and a half. But it just there was something lacking in performance-wise, where I didn't have any other on-screen persona to latch onto. All we're really left with is her partner, the podcast part, not her romantic partner, who's mentioned in like one phone call.
Yeah, her podcast partner's name's Justin. And all you hear is his voice, and it's Adam DeMarco is the voice of Justin.
And again, like I don't have anything to say on him either which way, because without a presence, like he can emote, I guess, as things get more panicky towards the end. Like that was fine. But just being in the movie with her for 90 minutes, I'm like, all right, you gotta have some range here where like more fear or more grief at some point along the way would have helped. There was just something missing for me. And if you wanted to talk about her unique performance, because she was really the only face character we got, what did you think about that?
She was, of course, the main character, and that's who we followed. And yeah, like you said, it's a pretty much a one-man play. I think she did great for what she was going through. At
Mm,
that point, she kind of felt empty and nothing left. Where she tried to show sympathy to her mother, there was guilt behind it.
yeah,
So it was very hands off. But like when things happen, like her mom poops the bed because she's in a vegetative state. She can't go use the bathroom.
yeah.
You see her
A little
get
frustrated.
emotional because she's supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah,
And then you
sure.
see like her at a point her mom fell out of the bed, which they to the point we don't know how.
After she stayed out all night, which is
Yeah.
the best part. So there's some guilt built into that too, on top of
Yeah, because she was only
the
supposed to be
shame.
gone for a couple hours, but
Right.
it's a 40-minute drive to where she was going and then
Right.
40 minutes back, and kind of a birthday thing she went
Yeah.
to. So I think she did great. Her face does act very much like she doesn't know what's going on, and her trying to switch
Fair.
between who she is in the podcast and who she is in real life. It was crazy because they play characters on their podcast.
I wanna
Like you have
talk
this
about that. Yeah.
you have
Yeah, yeah,
a
go.
the super person who's into it, which is played by Justin. Like
Yep.
he's all about it. He believes everything,
He's
all the
Mulder.
cryptids,
He's Mulder.
and she is very skeptical about everything. She
She's
even talks
Scully.
about her hat of intelligence that she
Yep.
got like last year and stuff
Yep.
like that.
That was pretty funny. I thought that was a nifty little gimmick that and not even really a gimmick. That's just like that's their show style, where we actually watch them produce their podcast along the way as they're listening through these 10 audio files, and they look like they got a pretty good professional cast set up. They were talking about intros and bumpers and let's get back into character. Let's take a break. Let's cut. Like it seemed like it was a very polished thing that they had been working on together for a long time. And I thought, as podcasters and YouTube folks ourselves, I got a kick out of that. I
Yeah,
actually did think that was kind of cool.
yeah, and like if you notice that they do editing, they edit their
Yep.
stuff together. They don't do it live,
Right.
and
Right.
that's why they have their calls on like Monday.
Yep.
So then they edit that
It's very
into the
business.
podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's very business. I did like that. That also allowed them to play with the witching hour, where on her end it was always 3 a.m. because I think she was in Britain and he was calling from the States. I
Other
think.
way around.
I
Other
had
way
the other way
around.
around. I had it reversed. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. 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 Because it would have been morning time for him, and he was going into work because he
Mhm.
said that, and she was staying up late on top of doing the caregiver stuff, dude. And I just want to talk about that for a quick minute. I think that's why, because I'm a little closer to that professionally. Like I've been around those kind of working situations before, and I've seen family go through those things. So I know what they were driving at. And you pointed out the cleanup thing there. Dude, that's a real thing. That puts you in a spot as like the
Mhm.
caregiver that you get angry, then you get shamed because you felt that way about a parent. You have guilt, you have all kinds of stuff that's layered in there. And I think I just wanted a little bit more punch, like maybe one more scene of her absolutely like reaching the limit and then having to like decompress and let that all go. I think that it went a little too quiet for my liking. That didn't mean it was totally ineffective because obviously it worked for you. You
Yep,
know what I
it
mean?
worked
So
for me.
I'm cool, cool. But it was good that they layered in those themes. It reminded me a lot. This whole thing after I walked out, the usher and the cleanup crew, because I went to like a 7 o'clock and there were only like 12, 15 people in there. So they were asking people on the way out, what did you guys think? And I say, for me, I got Babadook vibes, and I didn't like that one either. So what do you think? If you can, have you seen Babadook from back in?
Yes,
It
I
was a
have.
few. What do you think? Similarities between the kind of the scope and the tone of
No,
these two movies? No,
nothing at
really,
all.
not at all.
No,
With the grieving widow from the other movie and how that
no.
played back into the ending of that film. I'm surprised.
This one actually felt fresh. It's like I
Huh.
think this is a very fresh, not really completely fresh idea, but I
Well, no
believe
such
the
thing.
execution is very fresh on this one. I really enjoyed it.
Huh, I thought for sure you'd have been on board with that because the more I tinkered that around in my mind, I did some chat GPT comparisons of how certain things went out. It seemed like it lined up pretty good for me, but that's okay. It was not a sticking point at all. But tonally, it kind of felt like that to me. Um, The craft of it, though, I gotta hand it to him. We were just talking a minute ago about like sound design. I'm gonna let you take point on that because I know when I was kind of memeing. I was like, let's get into character. They do some cool stuff with the sound design. Why don't you talk about that? Because I know you
Yeah.
got some stuff to say.
So there's a line in the movie where she goes, "This is the only thing that's keeping me sane is doing this podcast." And it's because she's locked in her own world. She puts out like one of the things they really hit on was the noise of the house, especially the clock that's right by her, that's going into 3 o'clock. And you just hear that ticking noise. Nothing else in the house, just that ticking noise. And then she puts her headphones on and it's just dead silence. Like
noise
perfect
canceling
silence.
activating. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's that's one of the most soothing sounds in the world for me. And it really is.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
here's a little technical thing. Do you know how noise canceling works?
I think current modern noise canceling, if I'm not mistaken, balances frequencies by going the other way. So it's hearing things coming in, and I don't know how sound works on that level, but it does something to zero it out.
Yeah,
Like it goes the opposite to zero.
Yeah, it gives the opposite wavelength of what's
Thank you.
coming in.
That's what I was looking for. That's
And
what that's ANF, advanced noise or something like that.
Yeah.
ANF is the thing on like the Bose and all that tech.
And
but it's cool. I love that sound when it activates. Every peripheral that I have absolutely makes that sound when it kicks in. I love it. The whole world goes away. Love it.
And like the sound, like you even hear a change in the voice too, because she's now on her podcast mic. So she has this set to a certain way it's supposed to sound. Yep. And that's the sound we're getting as well, which is, I bet the sound guy loved that he had that extra mic that he could put right there in their face. When we put a mic hidden to get that type of sound or something different, we called it a plant. And one of the things we joked about is putting a plant in a plant.
It's Inception levels of sound now, apparently, with this movie.
But
I thought that worked.
Yeah, but using the actual mic for the sound and like changing the way it sounds, because she has a more than likely she has a lob on, and then of course they have and then of course they boom it for you get Roomtown and her, so they can blend it all together.
Dude, the sound was solid, but I gotta give some credit to the visuals as well, because they did a couple of stereotypical things for this kind of paranormal activity kind of movie. With the there's a lot of undefined darks. I'm pointing at light, which is ironic, but there was a lot of dark over her shoulder.
Negative space.
A lot of places. Negative space, right? And you're like, is there something there? Because every now and again there is an outline of something, but it could have been a drape.
It's always like something little white, like her mom's nightgown.
And her mom's in the white, so it's playing with you. They do a lot of cool stuff where they do, and you can throw in the tech terms. I'm just going to describe what I saw. Where like they would come in, they would slowly zoom in on her face, but then they would go by her, or they would pan left to right, like you think it was going to stop on her to like center her, but then it would keep going, and you're like, why are we keeping going? What's literally in the next frame? What's coming next?
So that
puts you in that space.
That's not really a pan. A pan's when the camera's still on sticks and you move the camera like this. What they were doing is called a dolly, where it's going side to side like that.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking
about. More
about.
than likely they're using a Dana dolly type setup where they have the tracks and then they have the camera set up on like a roller skate kind of board and just slides right across. Cool. Best thing for a grip on that one is make sure you have your pledge on to make sure there's no sound on the slide.
Because that would be the most obnoxious. Although in a horror movie that might actually work, who knows? But I counted like they did that 3 or 4 times, and every time they did that, and they wisely held on to that move until like the halfway point. There was none of that early. It all came halfway on after they had already built a little bit of tension. That way, when that thing just starts moving slow, and you're like, oh, we're gonna just land on her, and she's on the laptop with that. It's 2 feet too far to the right, and you're like, all right, demon hand coming around. Nope. And I'll say that, dude, they didn't go the Conjuring route at all.
No.
With that kind of thing, except the red lady on the TV, and we can talk about her in a minute.
So when you're doing something like that, and then they hold on it, more than likely they're using that tension, because it builds unusual tension when you don't get to see what the main character's doing.
What you don't see is more scary.
You start like like the physical psychological effect that happens to the viewer. And then it gives the filmmaker time to like change something in the other room, so when they come back it's different.
They come back and the chairs are nailed to the fucking ceiling, because that's a thing. And it happened as she was running in the end. Did you notice that? They did a little guy's Paranormal Activity when she ran through the house and it was wrecked.
Yeah, after they played the 10th one, which they weren't
Right.
supposed to play the 10th one, the little gibberish at the beginning was, pretty
Don't do
much
that
warned
shit.
them, "Don't do the 10th."
Yeah.
It was good. I liked how they layered it. The other good thing that they did on the technical side was the color. So when she's in there with her mother, she's feeling cold because of her
Yep.
regret, and it's a very, very light blue. Like you see a little hint of blue in there. But
It's
when
almost
she
sterile hospital.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they use a little blue tint that's called making it
Yep.
cold.
Yep.
So when she goes to the podcast area, it's a little bit more orange, so it's a little bit more warmer because that's
Yep.
where she wants to be, is right
Yep.
there, because that's where, like she said, the only place that's keeping her sane.
Right. Well, sort of, because really when you cut into the meat of this movie, it does the typical am I crazy thing, and it really is up to you, the viewer, to kind of decide how much of that may or may not have been in her head the entire time, because the ending doesn't give you anything. By the time the ending rolls around, you don't know if this woman's crazy or not. To me anyway, like it could have that all could have been in her head. She has a confessional with someone on the podcast where she starts saying, I killed my mother. It's indirect, but then they show the mother in like a really quick cut with like plastic over her face.
When you're listening to tape 10, you hear her speaking. You hear Justin's name called over the tape.
Oh, that's right.
So
That was on the
Justin heard
tape.
it too, and he's
And that's when
in this.
and that's why he freaked.
So
Yeah.
what happened is that this is a loop that happens to other people, because the people they were listening to live down the street from her or in the same town.
In the same town, because she made the joke
Yeah.
about, yeah, everybody that lives in Harkendale or whatever, yeah, everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you lost my train of thought. Hold on. Cut this out. So you did see that it was a loop that was circling around her because she found out that she's pregnant. It's an unwanted pregnancy because she told the doctor, let me look at what my options are. And then she proceeds to drink. She takes pills.
Yep. Very religious household, by the way. That plays into the imagery constantly in this movie.
And then it centers around a demon as well that causes miscarriage and stuff like that.
A very specific demon, and that's I alluded to that at the very beginning of our review, that I like the fact that was interconnected. That part made sense. It wasn't just randomness that happened.
Yeah.
It's a story that came to their attention and then sucked them into it.
And you do remember where that video came from, the one that she saw at the end?
They had mentioned it at the beginning of the movie too. They did. Was it a meme like from Creepypasta or like SCP or something? It was one of those kind of short scary stories. It was one of those where it was like it was a video that people watched, and like X number of the people that watched it self-deleted.
Yeah,
because it's cursed video. It's basically that. Is that a real thing, or did they make that up in the movie? That specific thing, I mean.
That one I don't know, but there are numerous cursed videos
100%.
out there.
100%. So they borrowed a lot of that kind of action.
So it popped back up because it's all connected. She invited it in.
Right. By listening to the dumbass tapes.
By listening to the tapes, by watching the video, because remember, she started the video before they even got to the tapes.
She did, because she was pranking him, because she sent it to him, or she played it while they were on their call.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, no, you can stop that. We're good. I don't need to see that. True.
So then they get into listening to it, and then that's when he starts hearing the little undertones of like them saying stuff, and that's where he starts putting everything together.
He said the thing.
Well, I said it. He didn't say it. I heard it.
You said it.
Yeah. But hats off to the art department in that last after they hear the tapes and she does her little confession where she admits that she killed her mother when she got sick. And so then they talked about you hear about the person who calls in who said that these people live down the street from him and that they're dead and that they were down at the bottom of the stairs. It looked like they threw each other down the stairs.
He said, I hear there was a key detail you missed there, my friend. He said they were found at the bottom of the stairs with plastic bags over
their heads. That's right.
Which makes you think that this woman did the same thing to her mother, because you do get that 2-frame jump cut, whatever it's called, of mom screaming with the plastic over her face in the end when the big breakdown happens. And dude, I'll give the movie credit for this anyway. When the big breakdown happens at the end, they slam the accelerator into the floor and they go for like 6-7 minutes, and then it just ends, like it's just over. It does the ambiguous thing that I know is going to rub some people the wrong way, because there are people out there that love just to have the mythology spelled out. I sometimes flirt in that camp. This time I'm like, no, because they gave you enough along the way to explain what the demon could be, what its name was, what its motivation was. Whether she's crazy or not, it's immaterial at that point. She believes it's happening to her. She's acting as such, you know.
And remember, names have
Power.
power. Given someone's name through your own lips gives you a power over them. There you go. There's a little Dresden.
He did the other thing. Nice.
I got you. Got you.
Him. Yeah. Everybody go read 12 Months. It was great. Just came out in January. I'm due for a second read. Anyway, continue the review.
But like, if you go and watch any of the exorcism movies, they always try to get the demon's name, and then they can cast it out in the name of Jesus. Kind of like how Jesus did with the possessed man that he saw, and then he put the demon into pigs, and they ran into the river Jordan.
The movie definitely dripped with the religious.
Do you remember what the name of that demon was?
Well, he was many, wasn't he?
It was Legion.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the religious stuff in the movie I thought was pretty solid. Total disclosure, I got a little uncomfortable at the end hearing some bullshit demon babble. I started squirming in my seat a little bit. Dude,
I did too. Because sometimes you might be chanting something you don't. I believe in all this stuff. If you don't know, I 100%. Am a deep believer in all of this.
Yep.
So
I'm surprised you sat through this. I'm surprised you actually.
I was earing up. I'm like,
dude, I 100%, dude. The total disclosure, you can make a short out of this. You could hashtag it to death. When they started doing that demon bullshit on screen, my ass broke internal monologue into the Lord's Prayer, and my skin tangled. 100%. 100%. There was goose flesh for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was there. He had my back. No question.
Yeah.
No question.
It was like, in some of these movies, they try to get it a little too real. They do a little too much research, and you start saying something, and you should not be saying it.
Yep, dude, that's like that whole thing where we were trying to balance brooms on upright like 5 years ago, and the pandemic happened. We opened a portal to hell and got the pandemic. Stop it. Stop doing stupid shit.
Yep.
You know? But yeah, dude, this movie perfectly balanced that stuff at the end, because they got all the creepy sound work ahead of them. I mean, they got that all done. The imagery picked up. We're seeing inverted crosses on her wall that weren't there, like, you know, a few minutes
This is where I'm giving my props to the art department.
It was crazy.
Because that house went from pristine to stuff all over the walls. Yeah.
Dude, and I'll tell you what, it's a cliched move. A lot of horror movies do this, but it's one of those tropes that if you earn it, it always works. At the absolute pivotal moment that this stuff was going to pop off and ruin this woman's life, the clock ticking and then going 1 second backward, I was like, like you're like witching it. Nothing good, dude. Nothing, dude. And if it goes nothing good happens if it ticks 1 second back. Never a good thing. Nothing cool happens after that. And it did, and I was like, oh fuck, here we go.
But I liked how they ended it with the ambiguous. I felt completely uncomfortable. I think it was like how it just went to black, and you just have the sound coming at you. Like, it made me eerie. It made me feel uncomfortable. Exactly what it was supposed to do. That's why I really enjoyed this movie. This is something we need more of.
But then they ruined it. They weaponsed it. They had goofy music for the credits. Cut to black, goofy music.
Okay.
But a lot of horror movies do that, and it's so you don't leave feeling completely ruined. I get why.
Yeah.
That's exactly
they had
why
too many bad experiences after The Exorcist.
Yep. They're like, we need to have some goofy Three Stooges, old-timey, soundy thing that's a little bit more chipper and upbeat, and that tonal whiplash from existential dread back into, oh, that's kind of goofy. I'm going to go throw my popcorn away. Like, I get that. At least they didn't do it during that last 3 minutes of like, we faded to black. She's still screaming and pleading. There's still
it went silent gibberish for a long time too.
They earned the goofy. They did. I was like, ah. For
Did you
me,
notice
I
how
don't
did
like
you
that.
stay through the whole credits?
No, I didn't because I checked on my phone if there was anything
Oh, there's
anything
nothing
to stick.
after. There's nothing
Oh,
after.
okay,
You don't have to worry
okay. I
about
was
that.
like, no, I always check, and it
What I
said no.
wanted
So
to
I was
point
like,
out
I'm
was
out.
how short the credits were.
Oh, dude, because there was
It
the
was
cast is 3
short.
people.
Actually, the cast is
Yeah.
12 people, but you had different voices.
And they had collars, and oh, dude, and I'm glad you mentioned that they had other voices. I think we're probably rest assured that all of this is in this woman's head, right? Because her mom was on. Oh no, because like, let me. I just talked myself down a rabbit hole. Sorry, dude. You're gonna have to buckle up, guys. We know
Okay.
mom was on hospice for real because
Yes.
unless Evie is a 100% unreliable narrator who's lying to Justin, who's constantly asking how her mom is doing, and she's reporting back, oh, she's about the same. She's not eating. She's not drinking. Evie at one point has a hospice nurse in the home and is checking
Mhm.
in with a doctor in real time throughout the movie, right? So when she does the bit about she's trying to stop one of the callers on the show who we're not sure if they're real at that point, right? The girl
Yeah.
that had the baby, they built up a savage tension thinking this woman was going to kill that baby. I was like, oh no, Wolf about to jump through the screen and shoot this chick. That ain't happening. Rolling them up. Can't do it. But by the time she gets to that point, she's probably so psychotic and lost. Like, we don't know if that part's real. So when she said she killed her mother, she explained it was the whole my mom got sick. She asked me to pray with her, but I found reasons to be too tired. I was too late. I couldn't get over there. And I let her down. So she died. That's why this is happening. So is mom still actually there? Or did she die at some point in the first half of the movie? And then this chick has just been going through the psychotic motions because she's broke.
I think when she was in there and she told her about the baby,
Yeah, still there.
and she's still there.
Yep.
And then she tells about the Hail Marys,
Yep.
which I don't believe in the Hail Marys. I don't believe in the sanctification of Mary. There's
Yep.
nowhere in the Bible where it says that, and it's something the Catholics do. But
We got that.
uh,
I still went to the big guy's prayer when I needed it, though. There was no going lower than that. Something
yeah.
felt wrong.
So they did that. When
Yeah.
she comes back and hears the Lord's Prayer coming out of the room when it's all black, that's when she's dead.
Okay.
Because
That's
I
kind of what I
think
was thinking
she was
too.
getting tired of it all, so she
Oh,
just put her
100%.
out of her misery.
Yep.
And
And that's typically how that kind of story works in drama like that is you reach that point and then you have that snap moment. I agree with you 100% because when she went back in, I think she thought she heard that, went in and then did the deed if she did it because she got all up in mama's face and then she felt bad. She was like, "Tell me what you said. What did you say? What did you say?" And then she backed off. I'm like, what we didn't see was maybe she did the thing
Yep.
in that moment. Yeah, there was a lot of good creepy shit going on. They do a lot of mind trickery, like Paranormal Activity, like they had the statue that was on the bedside table.
Which
That
they named it different. It was out of the book of Exodus.
I didn't catch. I don't remember. I
No,
don't remember the names.
sorry. It would probably be Kings because they were talking about Solomon, and he put her to death because
Yep.
she had the envy of everybody's thing, and that she
Got her
became a
hanged in front of the
demon,
temple. Yep.
and then she took the form
And I'm not
of
saying
a
the name.
saint.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying the name on this show.
No,
That
no,
ain't
no, no, no.
happening. Not
But
happening.
one of the things what this allures to is there's this. I don't know where it comes from. It looks like it's Jewish folklore from what I could tell, but they say that Adam had a first wife before Eve was
Lilith.
created,
Yep.
Lilith.
Yep.
And a lot of people who pray to Mary, Lilith actually answers, and she's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that same type of overflow here.
To look into that because that's always an interesting character to talk about for sure because that character gets referenced through fiction in our genres all the time. You know what I mean? Is being the actual first and fallen kind of deal.
Yeah. Even though Lilith is never actually mentioned in the Bible.
Not any Bible I ever read as a kid.
Yeah, not
That's
in
the Roman
Genesis
Catholic
at
version.
all.
Yeah.
It's a Jewish folklore. I got it right here on my screen. I just pulled
true.
it up because that's who I associated this story with because I've heard that where people were praying to the statue of Mary and a voice answered back. But
now you know how I feel about that.
And it and it led them astray. It led them away from Jesus.
I said this during The Conjuring when we saw this last summer. I don't like when there's not that the divine presence in a movie that has an evil presence in it. It's impossible metaphysically for only one of those to exist. If one exists, the other one almost invariably has to. So anytime you have a demon speaking through religious iconography, I don't care which icon you pick it from any faith. I hate that. I hate that so fucking much. It literally boils my blood when they get away with that in movies. I hated that. And that's the worst part of The Conjuring.
I wasn't talking about movies. I was talking about real life.
I hate that. Can't happen. Don't believe it can happen. Can't. Why would he let that happen? No, we can't. All right, we can't get off track.
But that's who I drew the parallels to in that story. And of course, the demon's name is actually attached to a different demon's name that a lot of people believe with the conspiracy theories, and I'm gonna throw out their Pizzagate, stuff like that, that these kids are being sacrificed to that demon of these
you can call him Mr. M for purposes of this review. We're not using real names here. We ain't falling down that rabbit hole. That mess.
I know his name starts with a B.
I was going with M. We can type it. I'm not saying it. I know the one you're thinking about would be B-A. Yeah, I was going M-O. Yeah. Anyway, we'll agree to disagree on that because that's completely immaterial to this discussion, and we'll strike them both down at some point.
But I think we got the gist of all of this. But
I want to ask one more. I want to ask one question, then jump into the segment. What kind of horror fan do you recommend this movie to? Because this is a very specific.
It is a different type, and but it's not screen life because you see real life, and it's not found footage. It's a true movie.
It's fiction, like it's somebody behind a camera pointing.
I would have to put it in supernatural. It would have to be a supernatural fan because that's what it centers around. If you liked the movie we reviewed, was it last year, the year before that, No One's Coming to Save You, this movie will top that by 1,000%.
Yeah, because this is kind of, that movie went the other way where there was like nothing spoken. We counted the number of words of dialogue. It was like 10 or 11. It was less than a dozen. I remember that distinctly. It was less than a dozen. And that was wild because that sound design went completely the other way. This sound design here had one person going through it and not being able to distinguish down the stretch of what's in the headphone, what's out of the headphone, what's in my mind, what's actually happening. That was some crazy shit. The other movie was Aliens. Once she killed that first alien, which was like 10 minutes in, I was like, oh shit. It's aliens, dude. Aliens.
Right? I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Aliens, right? Oh yeah, I should have done this. I did more of the plot. I did the plot thing. I wouldn't say I didn't love this. I didn't hate it, and I wasn't disappointed like when I walked out of Weapons. I thought this was something I'm glad I saw because it was on the hype list. It was interesting because it was different than a lot of the other stuff we've seen lately. I would probably give it a second watch and look for some of the things you mentioned, particularly with the lead actress, and if she was doing more emoting than maybe I gave her credit for up front. And I would definitely look for those hidden signs that the world was already broken for her more than I think maybe that it was. But other than that, I think it is fairly a straightforward thing. We didn't talk about the kids songs, which is kind of the hidden meanings and the play it backwards thing that also played into the sound design. I just wanted to throw a flag at that real quick.
Yeah, them playing it backwards, having other stuff hidden in it, having demons' names hidden in it. And the only one I knew, and they showed a little bit of it, was the Ring Around the Posy, is about the Black Death, the plague.
Ring Around the Rosie, yep. Mm-hmm. I've never heard Baba Black Sheep had anything to do with killing kids or kids dying and being cannibalized. Or they did some weird shit with some of these songs, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, the Bob Law Batshit made sense because it was talking about it. I don't have any for what's his name down the in the alley. Because they had
one for the little boy down in the lane. Oh wait, there's more to that song, isn't there?
Yeah, there's more to that song.
We're not doing that podcast, so they screw them. They can do that. But again, it's. I like the fact that these guys sat down to make a movie and they said, what things can we do with sound that also have a visual component, because a lot of the footage that they use that we see are the podcasters actually utilizing their editing software, so you can see the waveforms, and they're clicking things, they're cycling things, they're playing shit in reverse visually, so you can see it. We're not just listening to what they're doing. We actually get to see them work through it. And I thought that was cool. As you know, as we do our own stuff, I like that.
And the thing is that they used an actual podcasting recording software, GarageBand. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
The other part that I really liked, and you kept hearing banging. I think it started when they did the second recording. That you did banging before. Like she had
it was later.
It was later, but
the loud thump, it was I was like 6.
Which
it was after the halfway, but it was in show 2. So that was even later than that, I think.
So when she's talking to Abby, and she's talking about that they found a baby beat to death in the bottom of
the other caller.
Yeah, the other caller. And then when she's talking to Abby, who's talking about she wants to kill her baby, she's already put her baby in the garbage bag. That's why it's a loop. It's always happening.
Yeah.
Like she said that she heard it from the person who down the street or in the same apartment that she lived in.
Yeah.
Or she was a kid. I was one of the two.
She was a kid, and her dad either owned the building, it was the building super, and he had to go down to make them be quiet because the baby was crying and mom was freaking out.
Yeah.
And that's when he tried to stop her. But he looked in the bag. I don't know, I was just a kid. But like it's heavily implied, you know. But the banging got louder and more intense.
That's what the banging was as it was going around, and that's what she was experiencing. Was the same thing that she was thinking about doing to her baby, which was ending its life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They layered a lot of complex human fears
and emotions,
like the shames, the guilt. They did a lot of different stuff here. Maybe if they a little bit more with the boyfriend, like really having that come to a boil, might have been helpful. But maybe it might have just passed runtime. Maybe it didn't really need that, and it might have just somehow stepped on itself. I don't know. It's tough for me to separate.
I think then I would have an issue with it if they did more with the boyfriend.
You think so? You think that would have slowed it down too much?
One, you could already tell she has a boyfriend who lives in their apartment.
Right. And she's talking about getting my own place.
She's talking about getting her own place. She's spending all of her time there at her mother's house.
I mean, mom's
and
dying.
She didn't really want to talk to him. She hung up the phone on him. Like he called and he just kind of hung up. And when she was talking about the party, she tried everything she could to get out of it.
Really? I mean, the only reason she caved was because he said, like, it's for you. Like, I did this for you.
Yeah.
But I also didn't like the boyfriend
everybody was
kind of a dick. But he's kind of a dick because it's like, you get to
a straight gaslighting her. He's
100%.
Controlling her.
You get to a certain point in your life. You get to a certain point in your life, and because this, I mean, how old do you think this actress is, and how old do you think the character?
I think she's about 27, 25 to 27.
So mid to late 20s, right? When you were 27, you already been in like the military for a decade. When I was 27, I already run. You know what I'm saying? I already run a business that had like $1 million accounts on it. So for her to be with somebody that doesn't understand why she needs to be there for a dying parent, I'm like, this dude's shit. Like, you break up with him. But we didn't know. I don't think we knew she was pregnant at that point. That came later.
Yeah, that came like the next day.
It layered one more fucking. How much? It's like my cousin when he said, "How much more shit can we throw on the outcome of this case?" Huh? It's how many more things like this chick's she's not at home. Her boyfriend's kind of a dick. Her mom's dying. She has this podcast, which is great. Also, I'm pregnant now. Like, it's like, how much more can we throw on top of this shit? You know, I'm fired. Damn it. Like, if she had a job and they fired her, that would have been the only other layer, really. But
yeah, I really enjoyed this. You gave yours. I think this is, we need more of this for all you future filmmakers out there. Do what these guys did. They went and made a film. They didn't go to film school. They didn't buy a whole bunch of fancy stuff. They went and made a film, and they made a damn good film, and it deserves all the accolades that it got. I think there need to be more horror films like this. There need to be more films like this. Very simply done. Like, if you notice, it's one location, and we've talked about that with horror movies. You can do it with one location, limited cast. It's one of the great things you could do with horror. You could possibly do it with other movies. You just have to be more creative with it. So I think this movie hits top notches. If I have to give it a number score, I'm going to bring it in at 8, just because it probably could have done a little bit more, but I'm glad they didn't have overbloat in it. And I don't think you could really cut anything. I think you just need to add a little bit more.
Yeah, its runtime was good. So restraint is the word of the day for this movie for sure. They maximized what they had, and like you said, to the point of horror, just with the ROI. The budget for this couldn't have been huge. They had a very small cast. They had one location.
Throw your number out. What do you think the budget was? I got it right here in front of me.
15?
15 what?
Mil.
500,000.
Get out of here. I just figured anything that involves anything these days is just millions. This is modern Blair Witch. That's what this is now. That's essentially what this is.
This film was shot by Ian Tolson. I think that's how you say his last name. Yep, he filmed it in his childhood home in Toronto. A24 bought it after it went through the festival circuit for a 7-digit sum.
Imagine.
But it was made for 500,000, which I'm guessing most of that went to equipment rental.
I mean, if it was his childhood home and they still owned it, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, you got to rent the location out there. So, yeah, I agree with you. We need more movies like this because this is proof in the pudding. It's only Saturday now, guys, when we record this, so we don't have like the first weekend tally. But there's zero chance now that this doesn't make an absolute killing. Zero chance.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it for us, guys. That's been Undertone. Go check it out. Let us know in the comments below if this is your vibe of movie. If you think this was a little too maybe dry or slow, if you wanted the ending spelled right out for you, I think we'd both love to have that discussion. Like to see the difference in takes people have at the ending in specific. Side note for everybody else, did you guys think this was like the Babadook, or am I just way off on that? Because the King wasn't buying that at all.
No.
On the comparison. I thought there was a emotional connection there between the main characters of each movie and what they were going through. But you guys can let us know in the comments below. We'll see you guys in the next one. I'm rambling. Let's get out.